Okay, welcome back to part 2 of episode 21 of Ask the King for February 23rd, 2012. Let's get right into it because we've got lots more questions to answer, okay? So the first question, it's from Nikolai Hotspur, and he actually says, I have 2 quick questions. But I only copied 1. Oops. Sorry, Nikolai Hotspur. Oh well, I guess I can only answer the 1 question I actually put down here. Do you, John Rambo, or OJ know what conventions and events you've got planned for this year? Great question. Perfect time to talk about it, even though I'm sure not everyone will watch this video, and I'll keep getting this question over and over. That's the breaks, I guess. But here's what we've got planned. First of all, and I'm disappointed with this. I'm very disappointed with this. Let me mention this. PAX East. We wanted to go to PAX East so bad because we felt this is the perfect event. Just like MagFest, it's a gaming-only event. It's centered around this kind of stuff. We wanted to go. We wanted to premiere a new episode of Project 7, episode 3, the first weekend of April, which is when PAX East is. And, we wanted to be able to do that. And just like we did at MagFest, because it was so successful at MagFest. And right now, Project 7 is getting a following, a much bigger following than at MagFest, because at MagFest no one had seen it yet. Now people see it and know what it is, and they're loving it. And the first kink in this situation happened actually at MagFest. As we're at MagFest, to keep in mind, MagFest was the first weekend of January. We got word that the 3-day passes for PAX East, which is the first weekend of April, were fucking sold out. And we said, what? How does an event sell out a full 3 months before it happens? At that point, when we heard that, I went to the PAX East website. Not one thing was announced. No guests were scheduled. No events were scheduled. So they sold out of passes for this thing before anything was even lined up for the event. So what that tells me is one of 2 things. Either number 1, people are just blindly going because they hear about this overhyped event similar to E3, and they're like, I just got to be there, without even knowing what the hell's going on. And number 2, maybe this is a plan by the PAX East organizers to say, we're only going to sell like 200 3-day passes, so that way everyone has to buy the more expensive 1-day passes and we make more money. So it's a scam, basically. And that's really what I think it really boils down to. So the reason we didn't try to even schedule stuff earlier for PAX East, there's 2 reasons. Number 1 was because we wanted to see how Project 7 was going to go over at MagFest. And if it was a success, and we released it on the internet and everyone liked it, then we would definitely push to get on PAX East. But if not, what if people had given negative feedback? It's not really that good, Phil. Then maybe we wouldn't have proceeded with the series. Number 2, the way that PAX East works is that you needed to submit us a request to do a panel, just like the panel we did at MagFest. And we submitted this request, I shit you not, the day I got home from MagFest. So we're talking, what was that, January 8th, 9th, something like that? I did not receive a response from PAX East until this past week, and I think it was like Friday of this past week, and PAX East denied our request for a panel, okay? So I started doing research, and I found out that PAX East has gone commercial. That's right. PAX East is now becoming another E3. It's more about getting major gaming studios and companies and corporations to come in and display their stuff than about the gamers. It really is actually starting to get rid of the gamer-centric kind of stuff that a good convention like MagFest is centered around. And I have a friend who has a friend who's an indie game developer. He developed this indie game that he's looking to release very soon, and apparently it's really good. And he also wanted to do like a panel at PAX East. He got denied. They told him, sorry, you're not big enough. So what the fuck? Like, this is so insulting to the person who's involved with the gaming industry, who's an up-and-comer who wants to do stuff. PAX East is just denying everyone, if you're not a major gaming studio, we don't know who you are. Fuck you. So you know what? Fuck PAX East. This is very disappointing because if you remember, PAX East is based off of Penny Arcade, which was an independent website, gaming-related website, that started out as just a popular webcomic with Gabe and Tycho, who then eventually started doing other things like Child's Play, started running PAX, became a large, profitable corporation, and now they've gone corporate. So Gabe and Tycho, I don't know what the fuck happened to you guys, but you're definitely not who you used to be. You're actually denying the independent gaming-related people who are trying to get into things just like you did. You're shooting them down at your own event. Fuck you. That being said, there are events that still actually care about gamers. So we will be attending Too Many Games. It is actually in June this year. Go to toomanygames.com for information on that. In fact, literally, I'm not kidding you. As I was filming episode 1 of Ask the King, the director of Too Many Games emailed me. And so I just emailed him back, and we're working on scheduling stuff out. We're looking to have a panel there, just like we did at MagFest, where we'll be debuting an episode of Project 7, and or if it doesn't coincide with the schedule, we might be doing some behind-the-scenes footage, or maybe some preview footage of the next episode. But there will be some cool exclusive stuff there, and we'll be doing a Q&A panel and such, just like we did at MagFest. So that's coming up. Kineticon. Kineticon is in July, and last year we submitted to try to get a panel, and they never responded. This year, I think I'm going to have to kick them in the fucking ass and say, someone better respond to me, or else I'm going to shit all over your stupid convention, because we went last year and we had a blast. We played games, the marketplace was fun, and we want to do a panel. So we're going to try to get a panel at Kineticon. Outside of those two events, I'm not aware of what gaming-related conventions are going on. So I have a favor to ask from everyone. Please, if you're aware of a gaming-related convention in your area, if you're an organizer or involved in the staff of a gaming convention, and you think that something like myself, John Rambo, Howard, Respect the Pact, OJ, the stuff that we do would be a good fit for a panel or an event at your convention, contact me, okay? Contact me here on YouTube, send me an email, darksidephil@hotmail.com, contact me on my website, thekingofhate.com, just contact me somehow and let me know, because I'm interested in knowing what events are going on. And really, I'm a newbie, you know what I mean? Like, I've been to a couple, but I need to get into the groove of like a steady convention schedule that we can attend, and right now I'm not aware of what that is. So, please, if you have information, contact me and let me know, or even in a comment to this video, whatever. Please contact me. Okay, enough about that. Next question. Dear Phil, in your videos you stated you're a huge fan of the Ghostbusters franchise. I recently read that Bill Murray reportedly tore up the script of Ghostbusters 3, sent it back to Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis with a note attached saying no one wants to pay money to see fat old men chasing ghosts. I, for one, am shocked and confused at his reaction, but I'd like to know what your thoughts on this are and how you feel it will affect the film. And that's from the Gamerholic. My thoughts on Ghostbusters 3 have changed over time. Originally, when it was announced, remember, I was stoked. I was like, wow, I think that just seeing these guys back on the screen together as the Ghostbusters characters, even if they don't do anything, it would be interesting. But at the time, I was thinking, gee, how would they do it? Because these guys are old men, you know? He's right. Bill Murray's right. They can't do the stuff that they were doing in these movies anymore. It's not even feasible to see them doing it. It wouldn't make sense. Old men are running around catching ghosts. Okay, yeah, right. So I see Bill Murray's point. I also see the point that it's been a long-ass time since the Ghostbusters has officially done anything. I think it was 1990 or 91 or 92 was Ghostbusters 2. It's over 20 years later. Why do we need to revive Ghostbusters now? Ghostbusters 1 and 2 stand in time as what they are. And I see too many things now that are getting revived or remade or redone, or a sequel coming 20 years later, and it's like, give me a break, man. Like, they stood as classics. A perfect example, Indiana Jones. Had a perfect trilogy of movies that stood the test of time, everyone liked them. Then they made a new one, and it sucked ass, and no one likes that movie. And they're like, George Lucas is a fucking asshole for cashing in and ruining his own franchise. So I have really mixed feelings. I would love to see Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis reprise their role as those characters. But at the same time, I'm worried that it might jump the shark, per se, and ruin Ghostbusters. And so what I was hoping they would do is have a movie where it's like they're the mentors and maybe they're training the next generation of Ghostbusters, and it could be almost like a coming-of-age film where you're training a new group of employees and they have to bust ghosts, and then at the end maybe there's a cameo where they show up and they help them. But I kind of agree with Bill Murray. If the whole movie is just the original cast running around, still busting ghosts, that's kind of stupid. So I see where Bill Murray is coming from. Now, there are rumors that Bill Murray is out of the film and they're going to recast Peter Venkman. Now that's fucking stupid. I would rather have him written out of the film for some reason. Maybe he went off and he married Dana and they have a family somewhere in the Midwest and they can't be in the movie. That I would much rather see than have him recast. So I have mixed feelings about Ghostbusters 3 at this point. I really enjoyed the Ghostbusters video game that Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis wrote. Maybe that's the medium that they should try to focus on right now. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Okay. Next question. And this question has been asked before, but I'll bring it up again because it's been a while. And the question is, have you ever thought about selling the games you've played before? And just have you ever thought about selling the games that you've played before and are just stacked up and wasting space, but instead of trading them in, selling them to the fans with your autograph? I'm pretty sure us fans would buy them for a pretty acceptable price. And that's from Watch the Gaming Randy on YouTube, which is obviously that his name on my website is a plug for his YouTube page. I tried that before. It was over a year ago, but I tried that, and the only way you can really do it is through like an auction site like eBay, and unfortunately there were too many trolls and assholes who were impersonating people and just wouldn't pay. So we had people who bid, okay, you know, oh wow, that game's going for $200, that's crazy, I can't believe a fan would pay that much for a game just because I played it and I signed it, and then come to find out it's a troll with a dummy account and it's bullshit. Or we had one case where the person was a kid who had jumped on their parents' computer and bid on the game without their parents' permission under their parents' account, and eBay gave them a pass, which I don't understand. So, we would love to do it, I would love to do it, but it seems like it's too much trouble. It seems like there's too many assholes, malicious idiots out there who it's just their intention to fuck with me, and so they found a way to fuck with me, and the fact that we would have to contact second and third chance people trying to get them to buy the stuff was annoying as hell. So it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is right now. Okay, this next question is an interesting question, and let's get to it. Hey Phil, Karopi recently announced that it will be holding the Super Turbo Tournament of Legends at EVO 2012. Do you plan to qualify for this tournament and compete at EVO 2012? And that's from The World. If you don't know what he's talking about, it was recently announced that at EVO 2012 they're doing a Tournament of Champions, Tournament of Legends deal. And the way this tournament is going to work is that there's going to be qualifiers held throughout the country, and it's pretty much every major tournament. So you're talking, you know, things on the East Coast like East Coast Throwdown, things in the Midwest like UFGT, things on the West Coast, which I don't know what the names of the West Coast tournaments are because I don't live there. But at each of these tournaments there's going to be a qualifier tournament for Super Turbo, and the person who wins gets a spot in this 16-man special tournament for Super Turbo at Evolution. And the winner of this tournament wins $3,000, okay? My feelings on this. Number one, I'm happy that they're doing it, because at least it's giving a showcase to Super Turbo, which deserves it, because in my opinion it's the best fighting game of all time, okay? So I'm happy about that. But I have a lot of concerns and reasons why I'm probably not going to be a part of it, okay? Number one, not everyone can make it to these qualifiers. And let's be honest, with my back in the condition that it is, it's harder and harder for me to travel. So I travel a couple times a year, that's fine, but for me to try to run the gamut of the East Coast tournaments, the Midwest tournaments, just to try to qualify for this thing with no guarantee that I will, that's a lot of risk. It's also a lot of cost, meaning the cost of flying, the hotel rooms, entering the tournaments, just for a chance to get into a 16-man tournament, that's a lot of cost, okay? There's also the fact that I'm out of practice. I haven't played Super Turbo in 100 years, you know what I mean? It's been, what, over a year? Last year I didn't enter the Super Battle Opera qualifier, so I really wasn't practicing a lot last year. Really, it's been almost 2 years since I was in a competitive shape to play that game, and so I would have to play it a significant amount of time. So now the question is, would we even be able to get the players from Don't Blow This to get together and to play enough so that I'd be in a tournament-worthy shape to play that game at a qualifier tournament and to play at EVA? And that's going to be a lot of time investment and a lot of work for just a chance to do something. In addition to all of that, I've got a lot of stuff going on. As you know, I'm playing most major releases. I'm loving what I'm doing. I'm working on Project 7, which is taking up a lot of my time. I see my girlfriend once a month, once weekend a month, so 1 weekend a month, is already busy. There's nothing I can do about that. I got a lot of stuff going on in my life right now. And for me to say, all right, I'm going to take even more time out from the stuff that I'm doing to start playing Super Turbo again and start traveling to play Super Turbo is even more of a concern. And then the last thing that really concerns me is that there are 4 spots in this tournament that they have decided will just be randomly picked. Not randomly, but the rule set, I read the rule set, it's going to be, well, considering the history of people who've played Super Turbo and their records and such, if there are some people who can't make it to any of the qualifiers or who don't qualify, but we feel that they're still good enough, we will pick them to be in this tournament. We'll hand pick them. So do you really honestly want to know what's going to happen? I can tell you. You're going to have people who have been around since day one, like Alex Valle, like Mike Watson, like John Choi. And if they can't make it to a qualifier, or if they're all in the same qualifier and only one of them qualifies because the rest of them lose, those will be the people to get the spots. It's not going to be people like me who, you know, have basically were really dedicated to the game in the mid to late 2000s and then, you know, kind of fell off after that. But I have a very good tournament record. I mean, I won Evo East 2 years in a row. I placed in 1 year, I placed at every single qualifier that I entered for Super Turbo that year, including the West Coast qualifier. I got, was it 5th place? I'm trying to remember. I don't remember, honestly. I think it might have been a tie for 5th that year. So I've done really well in my track record of Super Turbo tournaments. So would I be a shoo-in? No. If you want the honest answer, I know what's going to happen. This is what always happens with these tournaments. Because the Street Fighter related tournament community is centered in California and always has been. That's been the hot spot. Those players from the 90s will get the spots if they don't qualify. And I don't agree with that. And you know what? I don't even agree if I didn't enter any tournaments or if I entered tournaments and lost, if I was handed a spot. I think everyone should have to earn a spot. There should be no, oh, I'm just going to hand you a spot thing in this invitational. I completely disagree with that. I think it's favoritistic and it's bullshit. And then on top of all of that, the prize is only $3,000. And I know you're saying, Phil, what? Only $3,000? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for someone who's not already heavily invested doing other stuff, okay? The fact that I would have to take time out of my schedule of playing games and working on Project 7 and doing that kinds of stuff, I would lose money there. The fact that I would have to pay money to travel, to fly, to get hotels, to enter these tournaments, for food, that's money. And I've already kind of done it in my head. The fact that I would have to practice and take time out, I wouldn't even recoup my cost if I won the whole fucking thing at Evo. In fact, they might as well make it a $0 prize for me because it doesn't matter to me. The money isn't even the factor. It would just be for bragging rights. And the bottom line is this. At this point in my life, I've moved on from competitive gameplay. I don't know if you've noticed, but I really haven't entered tournaments. I don't play fighting games at a competitive level anymore. I'm having more fun and enjoying myself doing what I'm doing here on YouTube. And really, the competitive side of fighting games isn't a concern for me anymore. Sure, it doesn't mean that I won't every once in a while enter a tournament or play Super Turbo or whatever, but I've been there, I've done that. I did it for a long-ass time. I proved myself to be a champion. I don't feel I have to go back and that there's anything left to prove. And by the way, I fucked up my timer, by the way, so I have to look at the camera. Don't mind me. But there is another thing being said that, oh, look, you know, last year was like the 20th anniversary or the 25th anniversary of Super Turbo, and so it should have been last year, but Evo dropped the ball. Like, they were originally planning to do this last year. So now all of a sudden they're making a last-ditch effort to try to get it in this year because they realized, wait a minute, most of the hype for Street Fighter 4, for Marvel 3 have died out, and they want a reason to try to reinvigorate the community. So I can see all these points, and for me right now, I mean, don't get me wrong, things could definitely change. Things do change a lot frequently, but right now, it's really not something I'm considering. I think it would be too much of an investment of time, money, effort, and I think it would take away from a lot of the other stuff that I'm doing and that I want to do. Right now, I really don't have a desire to get back into competitive Super Turbo or the politics of Evo, SRK, or any more of that. Okay, I have a lot more questions to answer, and I only have about 10 minutes, so I have to hurry up. Let's see here. WWE TNA Gamer 009 brings up a good point, and he says that next year's WrestleMania in 2013 is going to be held at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, and he's wondering if John and I would be interested in attending because they have weekend events there. It's like they have fan access, you've got WrestleMania, and then usually all the indie shows like Ring of Honor and the other federations do stuff in the local area of WrestleMania because they know that weekend all wrestling fans are there. I actually had this discussion with John Rambo last week, and we were like, that might be something really cool that we can do next year, something unique and different and interesting. So there's a strong chance that we might actually do something like that next year. More on that, obviously, as it gets closer. Let's see. Oh, here's an interesting question from Lost in the Zone. He says, Phil, I've been watching SSOHPKC a lot recently, and he mentions you quite a bit during his videos. Apparently your fans and his fans used to fight over who was better back in the day. Is there any truth to that? Well, I'm going to say the same thing that I say every single time I get a question like this. I have no idea because I don't have time to watch other people's videos. I don't watch SSOHPKCs. I don't watch anyone's. I just have time to play games myself, put my own videos up, work on Project 7, work on other stuff, and that's it. I really don't watch videos on YouTube, so I have no idea if he's mentioning me in videos, what the context is of how he's mentioning me in videos. I have no idea. I also have no idea if our fans argue. I get the feeling that a lot of our fans probably cross over. By the way, how dare you watch his videos instead of mine? I'm kidding, obviously. You can watch whatever you want. It's your own personal choice of how you spend your time on YouTube, but I don't know. So that's interesting that apparently this happened. I get the feeling we have a lot of common fans, and that's all I have to say about that. I don't know anything about what goes on his videos because I don't have time to watch anyone's videos, unfortunately. Okay, from Mr. Garden Window, I'm gonna summarize what he says because he had a very long comment. Basically, Mr. Garden Window is bringing up an interesting point about Mass Effect 3, namely that there's a Day 1 DLC of an interesting character. He's actually a Prothean. So everyone's like, wow, Prothean. There hasn't been a Prothean in Mass Effect 3 yet. You know, we've been waiting for them since Mass Effect 1 when they were first referenced, and it looks like it's going to be a really interesting character, but it's DLC only unless you buy the Collector's Edition. If you buy the Collector's Edition, he comes with it. And he wants to know my feelings on Day 1 DLC. Is that unfair that some people won't be able to get that character and are going to have to pay at a later date to get that character? Well, my question is this. Where was this uproar and this hoopla when Mass Effect 2 came out? Because the same thing happened. There was that mercenary, and his name eludes me right now, but he was a Day 1 DLC character. Only if you bought the Collector's Edition and had the Cerberus Network, pass or whatever it was. So the same thing happened in Mass Effect 2. No one seemed to care. All of a sudden, Mass Effect 3's out, and now there's like controversy all over the internet. How dare you have Day 1 DLC? Arrgh! I think it's an incentive, and it's a really neat reason to buy the Collector's Edition. A lot of the times, the Collector's Editions of these games have shit with them. Wow, I got a fucking bow and quiver with Lord of the Rings. That's fucking nice. It didn't help me in the game. At least in this way, Ray, you're paying more money, but you're getting an extra character. That being said, I already in this Ask the King gave my feelings about DLC in particular and why the full retail game of the game doesn't get the DLC. I think that's annoying. So once again, I can say I see why they're doing it for business reasons, to make more money, and also to make the Collector's Edition look more attractive to people. Personally, for me, it's not an issue because I'm getting the Collector's Edition. So you're going to see that content in my playthrough. But I can understand why the common person may be a little annoyed that they're not going to get that on Day 1. And I think it is a hot topic, and I'm surprised actually this wasn't brought up when Mass Effect 2 came out. He's asking, why won't they give a rational explanation? Here's the rational explanation. They're trying to make money because they're a company, and that's how they make their business. Alright, I have one more question and then Twitter questions, but I'm almost out of time. I have like 2 minutes left. So let's do this at turbo speeds, okay? Ready? Alright. You're obviously an older gamer. Do you find yourself not enjoying games like you used to as a kid, or do you actually like them more now? How do you stay motivated on liking a game and just being able to physically play a game for 4 to 6 hours at a time? Personally, I get veggie'd out past maybe 90 minutes, and I know when I was younger, that wasn't a big deal. It never happened. Some older gamers seem to find that their spark is basically burning out, and it's harder to enjoy games than it was when they were a kid. And that's from Kev Factor. I agree. When I was a kid, obviously, you just sit there and just plug away at a game non-stop, and you wouldn't get bored. Now, obviously, you find yourself, okay, even if it's a game you're enjoying a lot of times, after 90 minutes, 2 hours, like, ugh, I gotta take a break. For me, it's not that big of a deal because when I'm playing a game, I'm here in my condo. You don't see this between parts, but frequently, I do take breaks. I'll go, use the bathroom, get a drink, get a snack, jump on the internet, look at comments, go on my website. I have stuff to do in between filming, and sometimes I do take breaks. I find that when it's a game with either gripping gameplay or a really interesting story, such as Darkness 2 or Heavy Rain, I find it a lot easier to do extended play sessions of those style of games as opposed to a game that maybe isn't as interesting. But it is getting, I'll be honest, it is getting harder to do longer play sessions, but at the same time, when I find a gripping game, I find that I'm still able to do it. So, really the motivation is money, obviously. Not only that I'm enjoying the game, but I'm making money doing it. So, it is sometimes, there are games where I'm like, fuck, I have to keep playing this game. And sometimes, I do feel that. But it's not often, let's put it that way. Okay, Twitter questions. We got 5 of them. We're going to fly through them. Sorry about that. This one's from Purple Narga. And he says, what's your impression of the PS Vita so far? I heard the graphics are close to PS3 quality graphics. I've played 2 out of the 4 games I bought for the PS Vita. My feelings are that the screen is fucking huge and amazing. I love the screen on this thing. The sound is awful. The speakers are way too small. I can barely hear the sound. That's really frustrating. The controls are really good. I'm liking the controls of the PS Vita so far. I feel like I'm playing on a home console. Unlike a lot of these other systems, like the PSP, the Nintendo DS, they did feel like you were hindered a little bit because it wasn't as versatile as a gamepad for a home console. But that's all I'm going to say about it right now. I really have to put more time into it, and I will be doing a reactions video later in the week. Like initial impressions. From Scott Ante, his question is, how do I feel that it's been announced that Mass Effect 3 multiplayer is going to be an optional way of completing the single player? Basically, you're going to be able to earn experience points and stuff by playing the multiplayer, and you'll get weapons for the single player campaign, rather than having to do every side mission in the game. Well, I think the reason they're doing that isn't necessarily because they want you to skip the side missions, it's because they want some incentive to play the multiplayer. They're afraid that people are going to say, the multiplayer is just tacked on, it's a write-off, there's no reason to play it. They're giving you a reason to play it now, so there is some incentive. So I actually think that's ingenious of them, and I think that that's actually something cool. Let's see. Renee Donnet wants to know, will I play Mass Effect 3 multiple times to get multiple endings? This game supposedly has multiple endings. And I can say this, since this is the end of a trilogy, one of my favorite trilogies of video games ever, I may take the time to try to unlock the multiple endings, but we'll see about that. Mooresburger says, what is my stance of if someone wanted to make a film based on my life? Would I be against it or supportive of that project? I guess the question would have to be, I'd have to see the script, I'd have to see what about my life. Is it an inspirational movie? Is it a funny movie? Is it a slanderous movie? You know what I mean? But let's be honest, who the hell is going to ever make a movie about my life? That's kind of ridiculous. I'm just a guy who plays video games and makes money doing it and has a lot of fun and entertains a lot of people. I don't think it's anything that's warrants a movie. That's just my personal opinion. And then final question from the random videos. Do you think you would allow me to create a video banner for the top left corner of your videos? The bottom line is I'm not sure what you mean, but if you go to my website, thekingoffaith.com, there is a forum thread there for logos and submissions of this sort. You can put stuff up there. People make backgrounds, they do logos, banners all the time. That's where you should put up a thread like that and submit it, and then I'll take a look and let you know if I like it or not and if I'm going to use it. I don't really understand what you mean by a video banner or a banner for my videos, so submit it there and we'll take a look at it. That's it for this episode of Ask the King. It was super jam-packed with content. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be doing another one at the end of March, the last week of March. And that's it. So thanks a lot for tuning in. I'll see you for gameplay, and I'll see you next time on Ask the King. Peace.